Hey guys, welcome back to ARM Accounting. This is Andrew Molo, CPA and QuickBooks Pro Advisor, and today I'm going to show you how to set up your QuickBooks Online for rental property business. Okay, so this is the initial setup stage. I talked a lot about this in my previous full setup video, but for the sake of convenience, I'm going to walk you through it again. So this is where we start. In terms of the features that you need for a rental property business, QuickBooks Online Plus would be enough because it already offers advanced categorization such as locations, classes, and projects. But if you have the money, I suggest you get the advanced version because it offers way more in terms of user capacity and other useful features that you might need in the long run. But for this tutorial, we will be using the Plus version. So let's click on the free 30-day trial. If you're new in QuickBooks, you can create an account in here. If you already have one, you can click on sign in and enter your credentials. Then click on continue to trial. Okay, so the next step is to register our business information. So first, our legal business name, that would be Heist Real Estates. Let's make this a sole trader, and let's say we've been operating for less than a year. And for the industry, we will choose property operators and real estate services. Now let's click on next. The next step is to choose from the basic standard features that you'll need for your business. So we will be sending and tracking invoices. We will also organize our expenses. We will track our sales taxes or VAT. We will not track our retail sales because this is a real estate business. We will be paying some employees. We might be managing some inventories just in case something comes up. So we will choose this, and we will also track our bills. Then let's click on next. Then you're done with your initial setup. Let's go to the next step. So a lot of the features you'll see inside QuickBooks would depend on your settings. So it's very important that before working on other things like chart of accounts, your customers and vendors, you work on your account and settings first. So that is where you should go to first thing after the initial setup stage. So let's click on the gear icon and choose account and settings. There are 5 tabs inside the settings section, but we do not necessarily have to go through all of them, especially since we're trying to limit our time. But we will work on the most important aspects so that we can get the best settings for our books. So the first tab is all about the company information. So the first field you'll see is where you can put your logo and your company name. So let's put the company name in here. So if you're using a different legal name, of course, some businesses do that. You just have to uncheck this box and put the legal name in here. Otherwise, you just have to leave the box checked. Then put your business ID in here. Then click on save. Next, let's skip to the third field, contact information. Now we're going to put our email address in here. If you intend to use a different email address for your customers, you can also uncheck this box and put your customer-facing email address in here. Otherwise, you just have to leave the box checked. Then you put your company phone number in here. Then if you have a website, you can also put that here. Then you hit save. Then for your address, you can put your company address in here. And QuickBooks is also asking for a customer-facing address and a legal address. So if they're different from the address that you're using, you can just unclick this box and put the information in here. Otherwise, you just have to leave the box checked. But I'm going to leave this to you guys so we can move on to the next tab. Next, let's click on the Sales tab. The first field you'll see is where you can customize the design of your external documents such as invoices and sales receipts. The second tab you'll see is the contents of your sales forms. So this would apply to both your invoices and sales receipts. We wouldn't change a lot of things in this field except for the preferred invoice terms, which we will set to due on receipt. And then we'll also activate our discounts and our deposits. Then let's hit on save. Some rental property businesses tend to also manage the repairs and maintenance of their properties, which means they're gonna have to buy tools and cleaning supplies and things like that. But if you are open to selling these items to other people, then you might want to activate the inventory tracking feature of QuickBooks Online. So under the products and services field, we are going to track quantity and price, and we are also going to track inventory quantities on hand. So we need to make sure that both of these toggle switches are on. There's no harm in activating this even if you're not gonna use this. Okay, so let's click on save. One of our goals in setting this up is to be able to send tenants invoices automatically, and along with that, we will also need to be able to send the tenants reminder emails in case they forget to pay their dues. So in order to do that, click on the reminders field, it's this one, and activate this switch. Then, since all of our invoices were set to due on receipt, we're gonna have to send the reminder emails a few days after the invoice is sent. So let's go to reminder 3, let's switch this on, and let's say 7 days after the invoice is sent. Then you can customize the message in here and click on save. Now let's go to the next tab, expenses, and click on the first field, bills and expenses. Now if you want to enter your bills and expenses as items instead of just ledger categories, you need to switch this one on, show items table and expense and purchase forms. Now this will allow you to choose items from the drop-down list that would appear on your bills and expenses. Now if you already activated the inventory tracking feature, you cannot deactivate this, but that's okay because activating this means you can choose between entering a bill by ledger categories and entering a bill by items. Now, if you're also handling the repairs and maintenance or property management, and there are instances where a tenant would require services that are basically beyond the normal services that the management offers, and some of those expenses has to be charged against the tenant, then you need the billable expense feature, which means you need to switch this one on and this one as well. Okay, next, track billable expenses and items as income. Okay, that's a no, because not only that we're dealing with very rare case scenarios, our main source of income in this business is rent income. Okay, so let's uncheck this box and hit on save. If you want to use purchase orders, you can also click on this field and switch this button on. You can customize your default message on purchase orders and click on save. I'm gonna leave this as is for a while so we can move to the next tab. Okay, so let's go to our final tab, advanced, and then let's work on our first field, which is accounting. First month of the financial year, let's choose January. First month of the taxable year, let's choose same as the financial year. Accounting method, we will be choosing between accrual and cash basis. Let's choose accrual. If at the end of a certain period you were able to finalize your financial statements and you don't want that accidentally changed, you can also set up a closing date by switching this button on. Then you choose your closing date, and after that you can either allow changes after viewing a warning, or you can just set up your own password by choosing the second option. You put your password in here, you confirm that, and then you hit save. Don't set this up in advance because you won't be able to access your books. Set this up right after you were able to finalize your financial reports. Okay, I'll click on cancel and then I will hit save. Next tab, chart of accounts. Let's click on this and then we will enable account numbers. A lot of businesses don't like to use this or even understand what they are for, but trust me, if you're working with an accountant, they would normally work on your records in a spreadsheet, and you'll make their lives easier if you're already using account numbers. Okay, so after switching this on, you check this show account number box. This will create an additional column in your chart of accounts for your general ledger account codes. Then you hit on save. Next tab, categories. So let's click on this. A lot of rental property businesses using QuickBooks like to set this up in the classic way, which means instead of using classes and locations, they like to use customers and sub-customers. I would say tracking locations for a rental property business is much more dynamic because you can actually assign a main location for a building, and then you can assign sub-locations to all of the available units inside the building, and then you can assign customers to the sub-locations. So there are actually 3 dimensions instead of 2. So all we have to do is switch this on. We will track our rental properties and the units inside them using locations. Then we hit save. Next, let's go to automation. So pre-fill forms with previously entered content, that's a no. Automatically invoice and bill activity, that's also a no. Automatically apply bill payments, that's also a no. Then we hit save. Next, let's go to currency. Let's set up the home currency to United States dollar. Then if you are operating under multiple currencies, you can also switch this on. But if you do that, again, there's no switching it back. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to leave that as is, and then I'm going to hit save. The rest of the settings are either optional or unnecessary. So we're basically done with our account and settings. All we have to do is click on done. And then let's move to the next step. As long as you were able to pick the Track Sales Taxes button in the initial setup stage, QuickBooks Online will automatically set the tax rates according to where you are. But in case you need to change things, I'll show you how. So go to your QuickBooks. On the left navigation pane, go to Taxes. Then click on Setup Tax. Then choose the start of the tax period, let's say January. And then the filing frequency, I'll set this to quarterly. And my reporting method would be accrual. QuickBooks will automatically fill in your agency, so you don't have to worry about that. And it's also going to show you all of the information required based on your tax code. So in my case, it's asking for a tax identification number. So I'm just going to put it here. Then I'll hit next. Then you hit OK. And you're done. Now let's move to the next step. So chart of accounts. If you watched my previous full setup video, you'll know that I'm not a big fan of using default chart of accounts. I always like to customize my own, and I think the reason for that is I feel like it's easier to work with category names that I actually recognize from the beginning. So that being said, we will customize our chart of accounts by deactivating as much default accounts as possible and importing a new set. First, I'm going to show you how to deactivate a ledger account. So on your left navigation pane, go to Accounting. And click on Chart of Accounts. And then click on See Chart of Accounts. Then pick one ledger category. Click on the drop down button and choose Make Inactive. Then hit Yes. Now I'm going to be deactivating as much ledger accounts as possible, but please note that along the way you will notice that some accounts cannot be deactivated because they are linked to sales taxes, they are linked to products and services, or for some other reasons. But since they are already available, we will be excluding them from the import file, okay? So I'm going to start deactivating and I'm going to get back to you in a short while. So now we're done with the deactivation. These are the only ones left. And also may I suggest that you do not deactivate any ledger accounts that's intended for uncategorized transactions like uncategorized assets, uncategorized income, and expenses. So now let's take a look at our import file. So this is the chart of accounts I have arranged for importation. I will not discuss this in detail, but I'm going to leave a link to this in the description down below so you guys can use it. Anyway, there are two main purposes for account numbers, if you're curious. First is for lookup reference. If you're working on your records on an Excel file, you're going to need account codes so that you can look up account balances easier, okay? Second is so that you'll know the nature of an account just by looking at the account codes. Everything that starts with 1 is an asset. Everything that starts with 2 is a liability. 3 for income, 4 for expenses, and 5 for capital. The reason why I highlighted these two accounts is because these are one of the default accounts in Quickbooks that we cannot deactivate. Hence, we will be excluding this from the import file. But before we do that, we will go back to Quickbooks and change the existing accounts receivable and sales tax payable. Now we're back to Quickbooks. Let's go to accounts receivable, click on the drop-down button and choose edit. Now let's change the account name to accounts receivable tenants. Let's enter our account number, which is 1160. Let's hit on save and close. Let's go to our sales tax liability. It's this one, not the suspense account. Let's click on the drop down button again and choose edit. Then let's change the name to sales tax payable. Let's enter our account number 2465. Then let's hit on save and close. Go back to your import file and delete the highlighted accounts. Save this file and now we are ready for importation. Go back to Quickbooks. On the upper right corner of your screen, there is a green button that says new. Beside that, there is a drop-down button. Click on that and choose import. Click on browse and get your import file. Then click on next. Now the next step is to map your QuickBooks Online field with your Excel import file field. This looks good. Now we hit on next. Then you check for errors. Now you'll know if there are errors because some of the boxes in here will turn red. If everything is okay, you click on import. Okay, now we're done with our chart of accounts. Let's move to the next step. Okay, so take a look at this illustration. We will assign a main location to our main building, which is Maplewoods Residence. And then we will assign different sub-locations to the units inside the building. Let me show you how it's done inside QuickBooks. Click on your gear icon. And from the list column, choose all lists. And then click on locations. And on the upper right corner of your screen, click on new. Then let's enter our main location, Maplewoods Residence. Then hit save. Then to create a sub-location, click on new. Enter the name, unit A1. Then make it a sub-location by checking this box and choosing the main location. Okay, then you hit save. You click on new again. And you put unit A2. You check this box. Then you choose Maplewoods Residence. You hit save. Click on new again. You put unit A3. And this is a sub-location of Maplewoods Residence. Click on save. Then click on new again. And unit A4, which is a sub-location of Maplewoods Residence. Hit save. Finally, click on new again. put unit A5, which is also a sublocation of Maplewood's residence, and you click on save. I think it's easier if we can just import location lists so that we can accommodate businesses with multiple properties. Unfortunately, it's not available in QuickBooks Online yet, but I hope they are working on it. Anyway, we're done with enrolling our real property for rent. Let's move to the next step. Okay, so we will be enrolling our first tenant. This would also include the scheduling of our automated invoices. So there are three important informations that we need. First is the tenant name. Second is the unit being leased out. And of course, the due date of rental payments. So we have Richard Fridge occupying unit A1, and the due date is on the 15th day of every month. So let's go back to QuickBooks, and the first thing we need to do is to enroll a customer or a tenant. On the left navigation pane, go to Invoicing and choose Customers. Then click on New Customer. And let's enter the name of our tenant, Richard. You can put the rest of the information here, billing address, contact information and all, but I'm just gonna leave it blank for a while. And then I'm gonna hit save. Now for our automated monthly invoice, we need to make use of the recurring transaction feature. Okay, so click on the gear icon. Under the list column, choose recurring transactions. Then on the upper right corner of your screen, click on new. And then click on the drop down button and choose invoice. And hit OK. Let's call this template monthly rent. And for the type, make sure this is scheduled. If you want to send the invoice in advance, you can put the number of days in advance in here. You can choose our customer, Richard Fridge. We can put the email address in here. And then for the interval, we choose monthly and on the 15th day of every 1 month. Then let's choose our starting date. Let's say we will start on March 1. And based on the contract duration, you can also enter the ending date by choosing by. And we can enter our contract end date. Let's say March 2022. On our products and service section, let's click on the drop down button and click on add new. Then let's click on service. Let's name this service rentals. Then let's choose our income account. Let's choose 3,600 rent income. Then let's click on save and close. Then let's put our rental rate, let's say $800. And let's put our tax code, let's say 12%. Now let's choose the location, Maplewoods Residence, Unit A1. Then let's click on Save Template. Now QuickBooks will automatically send our tenant an invoice every 15th day of the month. You can easily create another recurring transaction template by clicking on this drop-down button and click on Duplicate, and then you can change the customer name and the rest of the details. Now we're done with enrolling our customer. Let's move to the next step. It's very important for rental property businesses to be able to present financial reports on a per property basis so that they can accommodate not just compliance reports such as Schedule A's and all that, but also to be able to analyze profitability on every property being rented out. So now I'm going to create sample income and expenses transactions assigned to every property unit, and then I'm going to show you guys how to create a profit and loss statement on a per property basis. Now I'm done creating invoices and expense transactions for each of the property units. Let's go to reports on your left navigation pane. Then let's go to standard reports and choose profit and loss. And then let's go to display columns by and click on the drop-down list and choose locations. Then click on run report. As easy as that. Now we will save our customized report. Let's click on save customization. Then let's name this profit and loss by property units. Then let's hit save. And then this will immediately be transferred to your customized reports. So there you have it, guys. You're done with your full setup for rental property business. If you guys need more help in setting up or cleaning up your books, you can email me at drewmolo2017@armaccountingds.com. If you have any more questions or content suggestions, you can leave it on the comment section down below. Again, thank you guys for watching. I'm Andrew Molo, CPA and QuickBooks Pro Advisor, and I'll see you guys on the next video.